Welcome to my top 10 events of the 2018-2019 school year. Number 10, my friendship with Erica. This semester, I made a brand new connection with an old friend. Erica and I have known each other since I moved here in second grade and joined her Girl Scout troop. Surprisingly, we never talked in elementary school despite living about 2 minutes away from each other. This class is actually what brought us back to each other. We began hanging out after school and to finish up an assignment. The rest was history. We've been hanging out nearly every day since. This has been so important to me, and that's why it made the list. Erica is now another part of my family, like my parents would even notice a sixth child. We are always talking and going on little adventures together. She has been helping me on this project, so there are maybe some or a lot of bloopers for your enjoyment at the end. Originally, I was going to do interviews for this project, but everybody bailed on me. So Erica was the one who actually got interviewed, and I'd hate to waste the footage, so we're going to cut to that. Erica, she's in your class. You should know her. First question is, how long have we known each other?
We've known each other since, elementary school. Well, we knew of each other since elementary school, but we weren't, friends, really.
And what brought us together this semester, would you say? Because I have an answer that I don't think you're going to say.
Well, I feel like mostly, this class, honestly.
Yeah.
Because, we had to do that one project, and I feel like we wouldn't have really hung out.
Ever actually gone through with hanging out. That really big building piece, and why I kind of included this in this project was that kind of you're the one who brought us together. Yeah. And we partnered up and then did nothing that class period and then did it all that night.
Yep. Pretty much how everything and our friendship works.
That was the playbook assignment.
Oh, yeah, that one. And when we wrote a letter to Jesus.
Jesus. Insert clip here. And then, what is the favorite memory of yours that you have?
So, the time that we went to your house and no one was home and your sister locked both locks.
Oh yeah, and I actually had my key for
once.
You
had your key and then you locked both locks so the one lock doesn't work, and then we had to run around to the window by your room and break into your house through your window.
Yeah, because my window doesn't lock.
Yeah, that's probably one of my favorite memories, just because it's... You gotta break into your own house.
Okay, we're gonna just fall onto my bed and hope for... And what have you taken from this friendship?
I don't know. I feel like we're more we've become more siblings than friends in all honesty. And I just know that I can rant to you about anything, if that makes sense. And I know you're always there, even if I feel like I'm dying. And I'd be like, Alyssa.
Why this is important. This may not be super important in the grand scheme of things, but this is super important to me. It's important to me because I've always bounced from friend group to friend group, never really having a true best friend. Never having someone I can just go to whenever I am super excited about something or feeling real sad. The closest thing I've had to that was my sisters, and now I just have a fourth one. Number 9, my family started fostering kittens. We began fostering because we moved into a larger house and wanted an endless supply of kittens. Our first litter of kittens had a mom, Cherry, and 4 kittens, Sheffield, Clark, Addison, and Waveland. Our second litter was kittens again. This time they were all orphans from different litters. We had a Flame Point Siamese, Skippy, 2 short-haired tabbies, Clementine and Sunny, and we had 1 long-haired orange tabby, Diego. We ended up adopting Diego because he got along with our new puppy Cubby so well. Our third litter was the Hex Girls, 3 tortoiseshell kittens. Named after the Hex Girls in Scooby-Doo, we had Luna, Thorn, and Dusk. Our fourth litter was 3 black kittens, Romeo, Adora, and Venus. They were born on Valentine's Day, hence the names. Our current litter is 8 kittens, 2 different litters. We have yet to name them, but there are 4 gray kittens, and they're all siblings. There's 2 full gray ones and 2 gray ones with white mixed in. And then in the other litter, there are 3 orange tabbies. One of them has white mixed in, and 1 Maine Coon kitten who is dark-haired. This is important because we've been saving more lives than we would have ever expected just adopting. We provide a home for animals that are in need instead of having them sit in shelters and have trouble getting the proper nurturing and experiences. We have 2 dogs and 4 cats, so it's really good for socializing them, especially when we have people over and there's just so many people in our house to begin with. Number 8, global warming. The Rhodium Group found that carbon dioxide emissions have rose by 3.4% in 2018 compared to the previous year. This is causing the ice sheets in Antarctica to be melting at alarming rates. To measure global warming, you have to look at both the increase in temperature and its peaks, along with how much lower the temperatures can get. With the latest polar vortexes this winter that we've had and how they've been occurring more frequently, this is showing detrimental changes to our climate. This is important because all of us live on this earth. We don't have a backup, nor should we ever have to get to the point of needing one. We should take care of what we have left of Earth. Number 7, Brett Kavanaugh. As Trump is going to be replacing Justice Anthony Kennedy with Brett Kavanaugh, Christine Blasey Ford accused him of sexually assaulting her in high school. The true question in this incident was if it truly happened or if Ford wanted to be in the spotlight. I am all about women being empowered enough to come forward about sexual assault and abuse, but there is some suspect aspects of this case, such as the lack of evidence at the point in time that this allegedly occurred. Mainly, the witnesses for her case all said she began talking about it around 2016. This is when the hashtag #MeToo movement was beginning, so it makes sense that this would be when she was feeling open enough to speak about it. The real issue is that she also brought this up at the point in time that Kavanaugh was doing really well career-wise, along with the issue that the people she claims were at the party denied of the party's existence. This could, however, be a close group of friends helping one another out and hiding this dark secret. This is important because it's sad we live in a world that even has issues like this that could very possibly be false accusations. Women want to be taken at their word about sexual assault and abuse, but then there's cases of women falsely accusing men because they see success in their possibility of 5 minutes of fame. Number 6, school shootings. After last year's walkout for school shootings, we have still been seeing issues with guns and the selling of them. 2018 was dubbed the worst year for school shootings by BBC News. There were 23 recorded incidents that resulted in any casualty. That means that in a 140-day school year, there was a shooting around once every 8 school days. In 2019, as of May 9th, there have been 8 reported school shootings according to the New York Times. This is a truly big issue in American schools because the lackadaisical laws here about guns. There's too many loopholes in this judicial system when it comes to gun laws, such as the gun show loophole, which means that sellers at gun shows can sell their own personal collection without performing a background check or even recording the sale. This is important because people who are mentally ill can obtain firearms that can hurt a lot of people at once. This should not be an issue after we figured out how these guns were being obtained. Why would we need a semi-automatic rifle to protect your home? That's the main argument people make against this issue. We have the right to bear arms, but that was written when guns took over a minute to fully load, not being able to shoot 10 bullets within seconds. Why do you need that to protect your home when people are taking advantage of it? Number 5, hurricanes. In early September, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia got hit by Hurricane Florence. Florence was a Category 4 hurricane that caused 51 fatalities. In October, Hurricane Michael killed 46 people in Florida, North Carolina, and Virginia. Puerto Rico continues to attempt to rebuild after last year's Hurricane Maria in August. This is important because people are dying and being injured in these hurricanes. This is an event that can't be stopped because it's naturally occurring, but we can do our best to provide support to the victims of these storms and help rebuild where these detrimental hurricanes have passed through. Number 4, the State of the Union Address. Trump was entering the second half of his presidential term by addressing the State of the Union. This was after the longest government shutdown in American history. We were worried he would put the country into a state of emergency in order to build the wall he promised during elections, even with it being voted down by Congress. The bill to build the wall was shot down by even Republican members of Congress, and by announcing a state of emergency, Trump could circumvent the veto from Congress. But we have checks and balances for a reason. Checks and balances are here so that the president doesn't have all the power as if he was a king. This is important because President Trump has been very controversial during his time in office. This marks the halfway mark of his 4-year term. It is also important because so many people were worried about him potentially calling a state of emergency in order to circumvent Congress's decision and use the taxpayers' money to put the U.S. even more into debt. Number 3, the new abortion laws in Alabama. There is now set to be a ban on all abortions in Alabama. This includes abortions related to incest, rape, and non-emergency medical issues. Lawmakers allowed for abortions to happen if a woman's health is at serious risk, according to the New York Times. This means if, say, a 15-year-old girl were to be raped at a party or by even a family member she would be forced to carry the baby to term in the state of Alabama. This ban on abortions does not cause them not to happen anymore. It just makes them more unsafe for the mothers. Because if a girl knows that she can't carry a baby or she can't support a baby, she might go to backroad options in order to in order to get an abortion. These would be more unsafe and unreliable and could cause harm to the mother rather than these are unsafe and could cause more harm to the mother than just getting an abortion that is legal. This bill was also passed by 60-year-old white men who should not have any business in deciding what women can and can't do with their own bodies. This bill may not take for years, but that doesn't make this any less of an issue. This is important because women are going to find a different way around this. It isn't just a cop-out for girls who are having sex and unprotected sex a lot. It's also for victims of abuse and just assault and even incest. Everybody knows of the harmful deformities that could be caused to a fetus due to incest. Number 2, Saudi Arabian women's driving licenses. In June of 2018 in Saudi Arabia, women were granted the right to get their licenses and drive. 24% of the women applied for their licenses by August of 2018. 61% of the women who had yet to apply said that they had plans to do so in the future. Mohammed Al-Basad said, "We have plans to create 14 driving schools for women in different regions to help ease the waiting list for women to get the license." Also, they had a little bit of foresight when they were lifting the ban of women driving. They made sure that it was accompanied by an anti-harassment law to make sure there was a good atmosphere for women driving. This is so important because this is a huge step in the Middle East when it comes to women's rights. This gives women in Saudi Arabia the opportunity to have a newfound freedom, or at least a new way to be more self-reliant. The new ban lift has been mainly good for all the people involved. Number 1. And to end off this list, we are going to delve into a very important topic. In 2019, Alyssa Marianne Martino was on time to school 64 times. Now, that was out of 123 times, so she was on time about half the time. Even with a schedule change, she just began being late to second hour due to her sister Emily's inability to get up. Okay. Now we'll actually get into the number 1 most important event of the 2018-2019 school year. Number 1, for real this time. Beginning in 2011, Syria has been having a civil war. This war is still going on even in its 9th year as of March 15th. It began because President Assad has been doing anything to stay in power. He has been accused of war crimes in the West. He has been accused of bombings and using chemical weapons on his own people. He has been against who he calls terrorists, which are rebel groups in Syria. The goal of the rebels is to get Assad out of power. The third group involved is the Kurds. They are people who have no land of their own and hope to gain it in this war, or use this as a stepping stone to get their own piece of land to call their own. That's how it was when they began the war. Now this is a proxy war for much larger powers such as Russia, Iran, the US, Turkey, and other Gulf states. Russia and Iran are backing Assad to win, while the US, Turkey, and other Gulf states have been providing aid to the rebel groups. The US has provided aid to some rebel groups, but that was mainly at the beginning of this war, and near the end we've been trying to fight them because of their validity as terrorist groups. Some suspect that this war is coming to an end in the near future. This war will most likely not come to an end until Bashar al-Assad is no longer in power or the rebel groups come to an end. This is important because the war has been going on for 8 or so years with no resolutions found. It is also causing a genocide. Going off of the war in Syria, there has been the genocide going on in Syria because of it. The death toll is at around 500,000 and over 10 million Syrian civilians have been displaced. Al-Assad has been allegedly attacking his own people with chemical weapons. Within the first 2 years of the war, 100,000 people had been estimated to die. This is to be expected in a war, except for when you take into consideration that more than half of those people were non-combatant civilians. Not actual people fighting in the war who wanted to be a part of it. Nearly 13.1 million people need humanitarian assistance according to worldvision.org. About 5.6 million Syrians have fled the country as refugees. This is so important because innocent civilians are being dragged into the civil war that they may not want to be any part in. Also, their very own president is allegedly using chemical warfare on his own people. People are having to leave their homes in order to seek refuge. This is insane that we're still having genocides in 2019 and nothing's being done about it. The U.S. refuses to do anything, and we're one of the biggest superpowers in the world. So this is my rationale for my rankings. I put Erica and I's friendship at number 10 because it doesn't affect many other people besides us two and maybe our friends and family. I put fostering kittens at number 9 because it is providing aid to so many kittens, where we've had I'm gonna do this math real quick. We've had 23 cats enter our lives and all go home. Well, 22 of them went to separate homes, and we adopted one because he got so along with Cubby. I put global warming at 8 because it's a slow issue, but it is something that still needs to be addressed. The allegations against Brett Kavanaugh was put at number 7 because it's more relevant than global warming because it happened this year and his trial happened. But it's not as important because there weren't any deaths due to it. I put school shootings at number 6 because they're an issue that was dealt with a lot in 2018 in the early months with the school walkout and everything. So it's an issue that's a little old, but is still relevant. I put hurricanes at number 5 because this year there were a lot of hurricanes happening that were very detrimental to a lot of people. I put State of the Union at 4 because it's important that we check in on President Trump 2 years into his first term as president. And because it was so important at the time because he had to end the shutdown of the government in order to host it. And we were worried that shortly thereafter he was going to announce a state of emergency in order to circumvent Congress's decision to not build the wall. I put abortion laws at number 3 because this will cause a whole lot of harm to people who get pregnant, and it won't decrease the amount of abortions. It will just increase the amount of dangerous abortions. It was also a law created by people the law doesn't affect, so they really shouldn't have a say. 2, I put Saudi Arabian women getting driver's license in second place because it's a huge step for the Middle East. It may not be as detrimental to our population as the other ones on this list who have deaths involved, but it's still very important as a huge stepping stone to women in the Middle East having more rights. And obviously I put Syrian conflicts at number 1 because this is an ongoing issue. It's been going on for 9 years, and it really shouldn't be. All of these events are so influential in the world that we live in. It may be something as small as me making a friend that may last till next week, or it could last for tomorrow, that I've been so grateful for even having a friendship with. But it's also something as serious as the Syrian conflicts that has become a proxy war for the US and Russia and Turkey and the other Gulf states. These are all so important and will influence the rest of the world because even though a lot of these are happening in America, America has a lot of power and influence over a lot of other countries. So, and Erica, I swear to God, if you cry,
I'm not gonna cry.
I might, but
What's new? Let me.
Anna,
It's
just hottest.
Go away.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
It's surprising you even know me. I'm not there.
feel like that's why he should know you, because you're not there and you always hand him a late pass with your name on it. Ah.